Hi, it's Mary Beth with sacredgrove.com, and I'm so excited to be here with Regina. She has shared a story with me about her dog, Z, and I'm going to practice saying it right, Regina, but I'm probably going to get it wrong. But it's such a good story, and it combines animal communication and miracles and using some alternate therapies as well as modern medicine. So it's a happy story, you know. And anyway, so let me tell you about Regina. And before I tell you, I have to say that I've always had this vision or wish that we had an animal communicator in every family. And like when you went to see your veterinarian or somebody else who knows how to take care of your animals, that there were animal communicators there. And so sanctuaries that had animal communicators and rescues, and they could find out what animals needed and wanted. And then I see Regina, who has used her animal communication skills along with some really wonderful skills as well. And her dog's around because of this. So now I'll do this. Regina Beider is a canine nutritionist, herbalist, homeopathic practitioner, and animal communicator. Wow. She was trained in Western herbalism and classic homeopathy. In the summer of 2020, after rescuing a dying puppy and bringing her to perfect health against all odds, Regina felt her heart and purpose was to help animals. She studied canine nutrition, interspecies communication, and in an ongoing mentorship of canine herbalism with Rita Hogan. Regina is interpreting all her previous knowledge and training to concentrate on pets, mainly dogs. The art of communication played a strong role in saving her puppy, Zijunka, and she successfully uses it with animals to determine the best course of healing. So welcome, Regina. I'm so glad you took the time to talk with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here.
I'm so glad you're here. Please, would you tell us a little bit about what was going on with your puppy and how you got her to be a full-grown, good-looking girl? Because I've seen the videos. It's amazing.
It was the end of July of 2020, and since the beginning of pandemic, I really wanted to rescue a dog, and we finally got an approval, which we later learned that the rescue that I applied to, it was just a scammer lady that was smuggling puppies from Texas, and our puppy was around 7 weeks old at the time. She came to us with parvo, giardia, coccidia, and hookworms.
Wow.
And yeah, it was the communication and the meeting when we just got the puppy. It was very fast and very vague, and I didn't have a dog before, so I didn't really know how if that's okay or not okay. She told us that she just woke up. Long story short, we brought the puppy home, and like right away it began. She was extremely weak. She was not eating, vomiting, blood. It just went downhill from there. I took a stool sample to the vet the very next day, and then I got the news that she has all the parasites, and then we had to bring her for a blood test, and then we discovered that she has parvo as well. I already done some digging online, and immediately I started giving her homeopathy, just following the symptoms, and I didn't really know how to use it with dogs, but my heart just told me that that's what needs to happen. we couldn't actually do it without the conventional medicine here, because the worms, the worm infestation was so severe that we really needed to use dewormers from the doctor. It didn't go well. The worms were gone, but just the damage that they have done in her little body, it was really, really bad, and she had intestinal intussusception.
And what does
We
that
had,
word mean? I got to stop because I didn't, I
yes.
heard you say that, but I wasn't sure. It sounded pretty dire.
So basically her intestines kaleidoscoped into each other. They just collapsed to each other, and
Got it.
there was no
Oh,
food or water. But I just noticed all of a sudden that her tummy is getting really, really swollen. It wasn't hard because she was 3 pounds. She was so skinny. And we rushed her back to the vet, and he told us that surgery needs to happen immediately. She was already, it was in a course of 2 weeks, I believe. She was already so weak and malnourished. We didn't know if the surgery is going to go well.
yeah.
We just prayed and got the news that it indeed went well. She made it. It still wasn't, she still wasn't improving. Even the worms were gone, parvo was gone. I was constantly giving her herbs. I was, even at night, every hour and a half, putting an alarm and giving her a little baby food because she wouldn't eat by herself. Every day IV. And that was a course of probably 5 weeks, until one day, yes, it was, I couldn't remember a time, such an intense time in my entire life, that you just don't get any, you cannot take a full breath, just because it's constantly very, very hard. Oh, here she comes.
Oh, good. And you know, Bunny's here, and it's like she does not do this, but she's listening intently. Now that I say it, she'll probably leave. But she's like, what's happening? That poor little doggy.
And I have to mention that there was a very, very instant connection. I could feel, I myself was nauseous, and like there was a day that I couldn't really get out of the bed. That's how I felt, like intense pain in my stomach, and I was vomiting, and I just thought that I caught the parasites from her. And we asked the vet, and he said that it's pretty much impossible. And then I actually went to the doctor and also received the news that I'm totally fine. So that
So you were picking
was,
up the symptoms. You were feeling the symptoms in your own, what was happening to her in you. Yeah. So, got it.
didn't I cannot remember such a direct pickup before
Yeah.
from people or animals. So at some point, she was in such a bad condition. Her muscles began to atrophy. Like she couldn't really stand, or even when she was walking, she would fall forward. And she still wasn't eating or drinking. She was just really, really miserable, and we had to rush her to the ER. And there she was transferred from one hospital, a very big emergency hospital in Brooklyn, to the best hospital in Manhattan for a set of radiology and bunch of tests. And we were told that um, there is nothing that can be done. She is already in such a bad condition. And they actually thought that she has some plication in her stomach. And at this point, they also said that she has pneumonia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was just a bouquet of so many things, and which is understandable from their point of view, that they really didn't think that she stands a chance. And I really must say, when I sometimes tell that story to people, they start blaming the doctors that, oh, just bring her and show her to them now how healthy and amazing she is. I don't think that the doctors really wanted to be mean to me or to her. They really did the best that they could to their with their knowledge and their skills. So
I think so. They probably have seen this before and it didn't end well, right? I mean, from their own perspective, they know how the story's gonna go.
and when they read through her story, actually the vet that operated on her said he is in his late 70s. He's been a vet for a really, really long time. And he told me that he had only one case like that his entire career, that after parvo or parasites, that the intestines collapse to each other. So it's a very rare case. He was extremely sweet. He gave her blood transfusions from his own dog, and he kept her
Oh,
in oxygen chamber. He really wanted her to do well.
what a good
So
guy.
he is a very conventional vet, but his heart is really with the animals.
Yeah.
So I remember at this point, this hospital in Manhattan, they actually let one person to get in the hospital, because during the pandemic, lots of places wouldn't let the people to come in, but they let me in, and they gave me the news. They told me that they strongly encourage us to schedule euthanasia this day. And but by this point, it's my partner Alexi and I, we there was already so much money that we paid. We did have help from friends and family. We did a fundraiser.
Yeah.
And at this point, we thought that there is no way that we can let this sweetest creature to have her last breath in the hospital. So I took her home. I actually, like, she was on antibiotics, and I begged them to give me the antibiotics. They just didn't want to give me anything, because they told me that, as I told you in the story, I told the doctors that I still want to believe in miracles. I will give it a day or two. And they literally told me it's not a miracle case. And at this moment, I was sitting with her in the hospital room, and I just started talking to her. I told her that I'm extremely thankful for her choosing us for whatever period of time it was. And with I spoke for both of us, for my partner and I. We think that she put a really good fight, and at this point, it's really her choice, and we're not gonna let her suffer any longer. If she wishes to go, we are truly letting her go. And like, sometimes you say it, but in your heart you wish, but no, but I really meant it. I really meant that
Yes.
you're
I
free,
feel it.
you're free to transition. And at this point, as I mentioned, her muscles were barely, like, she couldn't stand or barely could move. And she lifted her little head and she looked at me, and then I started crying, and I told her, but if you choose to stay, you will grant us such an amazing gift, and we'll be so happy to share our lives with you. And she lifted her paws and just put them on my shoulders,
Oh my
and
goodness.
I cried. When I told it to my partner Alexi, he also started tearing, which is very unusual. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's it. We took her home, and we're planning to have, my friend came, and we're planning to have a little ceremony with drum, and just a
Oh,
little
well,
spiritual ceremony to help her transition while we have somebody to come home. But little I known, in a car, I still, as I said, I wanted to believe in miracles. I bought a little bit of bone broth and a little bit of chicken breast, and she just started eating and drinking.
There's a yes, I'd like to stick around response. That is so wonderful. So from there, where did you go from there? So you got her. You think she's interested in sticking around even though the body's not doing well? How did you go forward with her?
I started, she was extremely anemic at this point, just because the previous hookworm infestation and everything she's been through just got her so depleted, blood depleted. So I researched Chinese remedies, and I started giving her one Chinese remedy to help the blood stagnation, which they call anemia. And her tummy still wasn't well, so I was giving her another remedy blend to help her tummy. I started just slightly cooking her food, some just very simple food to help her stomach to adjust. As I said, she wasn't really eating all the time. I kept giving homeopathy. During the summer before I got her, I was forging and preparing tinctures. So I started implementing some of the tinctures, and once again making bone broth with bunch of herbs. So she started to improve little by little. It took, we still had like some, I wouldn't say two-step, like it was, let's say, steps forward and one step backwards. And probably within 5 or 6 weeks, she started growing finally, because during that time she wasn't growing, so her bones and ligaments weren't adjusted to that growth spurt. So she was shaking, and her paws weren't really, like, they kind of seemed deformed. I took care of it with herbs and supplements as well. And we're actually even thinking about hydrotherapy to help her skeleton, but all of a sudden she just like started jumping and running. And I must say that today she's a mixed breed. We did a DNA test. She has 18 breeds in her. And we were at the park 2 weeks ago, and there was a greyhound, a real, not an Italian one, a real greyhound.
Yeah.
She can outrun a greyhound.
Whoa.
Her stamina is like the greyhound would get tired. She just keeps on running and jumping. She's always in a great spirit. She's always hungry, first of all.
Yeah. Oh, as I say, you showed me the picture of her fooling around with where there was, it looked like a pond or a lake, and she was just having a ball. I mean, it was unbelievable to see who she is now.
She's quite a strong spirit now, and we did a few before the pandemic started. I was going to Vipassana. It's a silent meditation retreat, to sit with myself for 10 days. So here my friend just gave us the opportunity to come together, just to have it in her house in the woods. And I even made out of it sort of a dieta. I was drinking certain blends of herbs and just being with her and myself, just like a quest. We were on a quest, and we were communicating a lot, and there were a lot of tears, and I was extremely grateful for her in my life and everything that she taught me and keeps on teaching me. And she just kept showing me that it couldn't have been otherwise. That's what it was meant to be, that we were meant to be in each other's life. That was the calling that I accepted, and I might have accepted it ages ago, but here she was a part of a path, and it was inevitable that she will be in that path.
That's
I don't know if it makes sense,
no, it
but
makes sense to me. I mean, my dog who's sprawled out over there. I mean, I saw his picture. He was at a local rescue, and I saw his picture, and I said, "That's the one. Where's the one?" And he got along with everybody in the family. We went through some tough stuff behavior-wise, but I know what you're talking about. You know, meant to be, meant to be. Oh, this is so wonderful. So. Would you give advice to other people who are facing some tough times with their animals? Now we don't, I mean, we know there are not enough miracles. We'd like more, but maybe there's some things that you learned with Z that you could pass on to us, how to take care of our animals.
one of the main things that is not directly has to do with her health or with this case, but the lady that we got her from, we later learned that all the other puppies that were adopted the same day, they didn't make it. It's really hard to make it when you're so young and so ill. And I decided that I'm not going to spend my energy. There is only as much energy we have at a given time, and I couldn't spend it being mad at her.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was a very important point that if you dealing with a hard case, if you're dealing with something bad, just concentrate on how good it can be or what good you can do instead of how unfair the situation is. And it was unfair, it was, but that's not up to us. We're giving what we're given, and we need to make the best out of it.
That's a really beautiful way of looking at it. Thank you. I feel like that also, once you let go of what was, then I'm saying it in a different way, then what could be shows up. But if you're always hanging on to the anger of or the worry of the past or what was, you just get into what could be, what is now, how can this animal show up as their best self? That's what the language I use. And it's much more powerful than the anger or the not fairness and all this stuff. Thank you.
And another advice is that there many people there, even if you go and dig the internet, you can find many alternative ways. There even human herbalists and human homeopaths that do work with animals.
Okay.
They definitely can help. And communication, the animal can tell you so much. The animal can, they don't view life and death the way we do. They do have, like Z showed me, that she has a job here and she came to fulfill it, and apparently she would have fought and would, and even the decision that she made, and I think it was a mutual decision that we made there. And there is nothing that a communicator or a healer can fix without you considering the animal in the picture. So it's very, very important to to tune to them, and we all can if we care about them. We don't like. I wasn't born a communicator. I heard your interview that you.
Good.
I cannot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. I mean, I tell people that I was not born a communicator. Just my dog started connecting with me, and I'm like, oh, it's time to find out what's going on here.
So I think it's always very important to consider them in the picture, even though we think they cannot talk, they can in other ways. And as we were to ask our kids if they are okay with this or that, we also can ask them, and you will see the sign, you will receive any kind of information. And also about conventional medicine, I always tell people, just imagine that uh, we have a slight problem with the veterinarians. Just because they don't know what's going on in the animal's body, they give way too much medicine. And if you were to think that you were giving that much medicine to your infant, or even not an infant, to your baby, to your child, and when it's just antibiotic after antibiotic, just compare it to your kids or to humans. We don't do it with people. And very often those things can cause problems in the long run. So I always, once again, we couldn't save her life without the conventional medicine, but there were a lot of things that I refused, and we did deal with a lot of liver cleanse and skin problems as a result, that the anesthesia, and she was on quite a lot of medication. So I had to deal with it with herbs, as opposed to once again turning and healing her skin infection with antibiotics. It's just gonna drug and drug and drug. And that's why I believe that we have nowadays more, mainly dogs. Cats are not as vulnerable to all those infection and diseases, just because they're more at home.
Yeah.
But we have more sick dogs than healthy dogs, and it's
true. That's my pup. We got a pup burping behind us here. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Thank you. So, and you have the knowledge to help folks. And I work out of a veterinary holistic center where they have acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine like that. And I have worked with homeopaths as well. And it's nice to be able to keep the Western medicine is to a minimum, because it seems to me all this, I don't know. Let's see. Excuse me for a second. I need to first, I've got to think a little bit. A lot of homeopathic medicines and Chinese medicines are made from herbs. And, you know, from time immemorial, humans and all species have used plants to heal. So it's the bodies know that. Whereas the new stuff is also new to the body's makeup, because it hasn't been used for a relatively long time compared to the length of that our species have been around. So I imagine that's part of the problem, is the body doesn't quite know what to do with it, and they know about plants. I've researched how different animals use different plants in the wild to take care of issues, you know, so I know it's true, you know, we know that.
Yeah, I will show you. I have this amazing book. That's my next. it just I have only that much time and many things that I want to study. Can you see the book?
Keep it. I'm almost got it, but I can't see it's animal self-medication. Oh, there's a whole book on it. Holy
It's a
cow.
huge book, yeah, and it's exactly about that.
Yeah, so it does make sense to me that if you can use the more plant-based, acupuncture also works great. It's probably does a lot of good in the long term. I use Western medicine, I gotta say, but I like having the alternatives available. Yeah, thank you for this. Well, Regina, is there anything else I should have asked you that I have not brought up? Is anything that you wanted to share with us?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot here, but I always like to give you a chance in case there's something in the back of your mind that you thought, this is really important.
As I said, I think it's really, really important to count them in. I will. No, hold on. It's not a good example.
Good.
I know that I had something in my mind. I should have written it down, but
I thought that only happened to me. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for taking the time. And as I said, I'm going to put this on YouTube, and we'll see where we go with it. Once you get your business up and running, I'm hoping I can add all the information in about how people can contact you and use you as another resource, because obviously you did something good for that pup and you got a happy dog. So thank you so much.
thank you, Mary Beth, for having me and hearing my story. It was a pleasure.
I'm so glad to share it. Okay.